Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming and thank you for enjoying Saturday morning with us. This is David. I'm Bryant Culp, and we are talking 49ers. Talking 49ers, talking football, and most of the time we have a cup of coffee with us. I have had one already. I'm waiting for my cup to be refilled. I love my little girl. She takes care of me. And yeah, good morning, everybody. We got Dawn here. We got East Coast Red and Gold here. Good morning, ladies. And yes, David, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the new rule changes. I know other people have talked about it, but this is probably our first chance to get down to it. We've talked about the kickoff change. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but at least we still have a kickoff, right? So, first off, how's
Is
your
it?
morning?
Oh, hold on. Is it really a kickoff? I mean, could you just have your QB3 walk out there and just chuck the ball downfield at this point? You know, that's what we're rolling towards. This feels like, does it not?
Oh
And
boy.
now we got our guys on their 40. In a single line. They got their guys in a single line on their 35, 30 somewhere. So they're not far apart. There's going to be no big collisions or anything like that going on, right? And
That's what we're
now
hoping.
you got your two returners in the back or run returner, depending on how the team wants to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now there's going to be no layers of special teamers flying in to make the hit. There's not going to be so much chaos going on. And if you get a guy like, say Debo or CMC or, maybe even Brandon Ayuk, he can break some tackles, right? How about
Mm-hmm.
George Kittle? Some guy back there that can break a tackle or two. You're going to be looking at some game-changing plays off the new kickoff rule. And we both know that NFL's trying to drive the ratings up. They want viewers. They want to get that money. And truth be told, that doesn't hurt us because the more money the NFL gets, the bigger the salary cap's going to get and the less hell we're going to be in, right? Salary cap wise. So,
Well,
you know
pause.
what?
Wait,
Right?
pause. Right? Pause. Because if the money keeps going up, right, then the players can keep asking for more money, right? And sure, they raise it up, but it's kind of like minimum wage as well. If they keep raising up minimum wage, then what happens? Eggs and milk and bacon, it all goes up, right? And that's why we're spending $20, for a cheeseburger.
Yeah, people that make decent money or just do it, well, whatever job they have, minimum wage goes up. That's like you need to compensate them now.
But I
You know,
definitely understand what you're saying. Like the salary cap will go up. It's going to be beneficial at the moment, but for how long? And then the players are going to get adjusted to it, and then it's going to continue to the bar is going to just continue to go up and up. There's not going to be a stop at this point, and it's not my choice. But how much do you want to pay your quarterback, David?
well, at this point, 50 to 60 something millions is going to be the market for a guy like Brock Purdy. That's a lot of money. That's a
For
lot
a
of
guy
money.
like Brock Purdy, or a guy, just a guy, how much is just a guy worth?
Well, if we're talking just an average QB, which Brock Purdy's better, he's better.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking average QB, what, 35, 40 million? That'd be like Daniel Jones, Geno Smith territory, right?
Mm-hmm. And
So
when they were signed to some historic numbers at the time. So the bar
that,
just
that
keeps
was
climbing.
that was a few years ago too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the price of quarterbacks is getting ridiculous. We're probably going to see the first $100 million man in the next several seasons. That's annual though, not contract. Annual. The first $100 million man was Albert Hainsworth. The Washington, they were the Redskins at the time. Signed him to a monster contract, and it backfired. There's not too many monster free agent signings that actually work out, though. Let's be honest here. Like, was that guy the Chargers signed a guy a couple years ago? corner from the Patriots, J.C. Jackson.
Okay. Yeah.
And didn't work out for him. They ended up trading him, just kind of salary dump style. And I mean, all these, these players in free agency, you literally overpay in free agency. And I'm kind of glad the Niners didn't do any of that this year, which we did a little bit. We might have overpaid for a couple of those guys, but you got to get who you want. And at this point, our mid-level players, above average players, that depth was hurting on the D line. Now it's not. Now we got guys, right?
So I think it depends on too where your team's at. If your team can afford it, maybe, and at the time, if you have a bunch of veteran players and you just need a couple plug and play players, then free agency is probably the way to go. If you have maybe the opportunity to, reestablish the core, then maybe the draft is where you need to go. Maybe you got a bunch of veterans that are going to be aging out and you don't have a couple of years left on their salary or on their career. Maybe they've just are injury prone and, maybe they need to be, utilized on a different team, because we might need to just upgrade their position just theoretically, right? You look at the Niners, we took 2 tight ends last year. I don't know if those are the tight ends of the future, but we took 2 tight ends because what were we looking at doing this year? We've gotten rid of Ross Dwelley. We've gotten rid of Charlie Warner, right? It's like, so now we got Kittle. Everybody likes Kittle. And then we tried to get the tight end from the Lions, but we failed to get, I think his name's Brock Wright. So there are players like that. And I like what you're saying too. Like, don't go totally at the free agency, but we're signing players to 1 to 2 year contracts because we are looking at, some of these guys that are up there on salary. And maybe we're overpaying for some of these guys' salary, but as long as they keep pushing the needle up, and pushing the salary cap up, the salary and these players are going to keep going up, and you can't pay everybody. And no, not everybody on the roster is worth $1 million or $50 million or $100 million. But if you're saying just one player on that whole team's worth that, and the rest of the players aren't getting near that, I don't know if that's how would you feel like that? Like if you're working at your job and you feel you're a solid worker, and I know you are, and you feel like you deserve a good pay wage, but one guy in the shop's making just a little bit more money, and maybe you feel like you're just as valuable on the team, in the company, but that other guy is making a lot more money, and maybe he's not doing as well if you're not around, right?
That's correct. That's correct. So, I mean, at this point, it's just, salaries go up, the cap goes up, right? You got to manage your players. It seems like the NFL has structured things where it's like, okay, you'll be able to build a good team for like 3 seasons, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And you're done. Then you're done. But then you get a guy like, that one guy the Kansas City Chiefs has, that QB.
Yeah.
Now he's the star of the NFL. He's the face of the NFL. He's the next Tom Brady, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, that team has been doing it for since 2019?
Well, you could say before that, and I'd like to point it out that they are actually a really good team prior to that. They got our quarterback, Alex Smith. They got a transition period, and Alex Smith didn't go to a team that was bad either. He went to a team that was really, really well put together. The Chiefs have been a playoff team for a very long time. They've been like one of those teams. They have to play against the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Raiders. Well, the Raiders for the last 20-something years have been a horrible team. They've just been straight out horrible. The Chargers, after they let LaDainian Tomlinson go, Drew Brees left. Sure, they had Mr. Oh my gosh, what's his name? 17. We almost signed him as our quarterback. I'm thinking he had the sideways throw. Come on, help me out in the chat, folks. What's his name? David, the quarterback from San Diego, Phillip Rivers. See, if I keep talking, I can get it out. Philip Rivers, and after that, now they got Herbert, and Herbert seems to be a really athletic quarterback, but they don't have the coach around him, I guess. But still, the Chargers are noisy. They keep making the playoffs. They keep doing something when they're a healthy team. The Broncos, every time they lose a quarterback and they shift away from their coach, it seems like it's a year or two between, and then they get back to it. The Broncos, I guess you could say they sold their soul or something that when they went after Peyton Manning and won that Super Bowl. Well, I guess they got revenge, or the NFL did when the Seahawks went and took the Super Bowl away from them. How do you snap the ball into the end zone on the first play? I think that would have probably been the most highlighted disappointment play in the Super Bowl, or in really NFL career, and especially to Peyton Manning. What is, like a nasty statement, but when you have Jimmy Garoppolo running out of the end zone, the 8 points, I mean, that kind of washes away Denver's worst play, right? Thank you, we could take the trophy, right? No. But I look at it and I'm like, the Chargers, all those guys, that whole division's been good. The Niners, we've gotten lucky. We've gotten lucky going back and getting where we're at right now. But back to the Chiefs had some really good teams back then. And then here comes Alex Smith, who's a veteran quarterback, and then got them to the playoffs. He wasn't able to get them over the hump, but that's where Kelsey was at. You could almost say like Alex Smith helped train Kelsey to be what he is. And then here comes Andy Reid, who couldn't win in Philadelphia. And was it he couldn't win, or was it just like, the circumstances happened? But he comes to the Chiefs and he gets a quarterback that he likes. He's still winning with him, right? Here comes Patrick Mahomes, who has basically a veteran team put around him. And now they're slowly, having to rebuild because some of those players have left. But he's actually maturing, right? So I don't know. Maybe they paid him too early, or maybe you'll look back and say that they paid him at the right time because it'll be more expensive later. But I don't know. Is Patrick Mahomes going to be Patrick Mahomes without Andy Reid, or vice versa? It's like
Travis Kelce, right? He's 35 years old, going to be 36. How many more years does he have left in the tank? 1, maybe 2.
Does Travis Kelce run routes to you? Does he run routes, David?
Does he? I thought they played a lot of backyard football. Travis
Kelce runs out there, he gets away from somebody, and then he stops and he waits for them to, he's like, I'm open. You're exactly right. It's backyard football. So like sometimes when people are like, oh, he runs a clean route, or he runs this, or he does this really well, it doesn't matter. What matters is what happens when you get the football in your hand and what you do with it after that. And for somebody like Travis Kelce or George Kittle, Devo, these guys are huge people. They take on contact. It's almost like how do you coach that or tell them not to do what they're doing, right? Like stop getting open. Stop playing your kind of football. It's not working, but it is working.
It is working. Backyard football so works for him. It's not funny. And Andy Reid, they're making Andy Reid look good. Okay, Andy Reid is a good coach, but they're making him look better. Okay. But, at this point, it's like, everyone talks about, oh, your Super Bowl window is only so many years. All right. They've been at it for 5 years. And at this point, it looks like the Chiefs are going to be relevant for the next couple of years. So that's 7. So basically what we're, our 49ers, we draft well, right? Yeah. And at this point, it's like last year's draft, we don't know what we have. Shout out to red shirt and rookies. That's something I have a very big dislike for. But we don't know what we have in our rookies. We got a bunch of guys coming in this year. So, can we keep this team going once we pay Brock and we're not able to, pay all these guys humongous contracts? I mean, once we pay Brock, big salary will kick in. There'll be a couple guys retiring. There'll be, you know, not we won't be necessarily the same team we are right now, right? There'll be some moves made. There'll be some salaries gone, and I'm just hoping that we do a good job in the draft and can keep this thing going. Keep on being competitive. We got to get over the hump, though. We got to get that number 6, right?
Mm-hmm. So Brock's going to get paid eventually, unless there's something significantly that happens bad to him this year, like a devastating injury that's going to, tell us to really right. But then at that point, they probably still offer him a contract, you would think, right? Because they've seen him get hurt before. So to me, it comes down to personality. And it comes down to personality to a lot of these teams. Who do these teams like in their locker room, right? For a long time, the Niners kept Alex Smith in the locker room because maybe of the investment that they had on him. He did keep getting hurt. Maybe it was his contract that kept him in the locker room. But they did eventually move off of him. And they moved off of him for Kaepernick. And then they quickly moved off of Kaepernick after the locker room explosion, right? We can say that. Me and you both can. And now we had Jimmy Garoppolo, right? And everybody liked Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe not everybody. Maybe the coaches didn't like him. Maybe they did. Maybe we're just looking into it from the sidelines and looking at this, right? But now we have Brock Purdy, because they had Trey Lance, and it seemed like the locker room liked Trey Lance as well. But there seemed to be like just maybe some uncertainty or something, right? Not knowing your rookie, right? And I think this is a good point that you said, like, we don't know what our rookies have. How do we know what our rookies have if they take away our preseason games? I say this a lot. Add a couple more preseason games so these players can get out there and show what they have in front of the fans, even though the fans don't make the noise, right? We make noise, but we don't make the decisions that the players stay or go, right? But we do when we cheer loud enough in the stadium and say, hey, that guy had a good play. Look, coach, right? Because maybe the coach hasn't seen it. So give us some preseason games where these players can come out there and practice, open up this, roster a little bit wider so players can be seen. And then the league can add another game if they want to. But if you don't have practices, and because there used to be 2-a-day practices, right? There used to be a lot more practices than there are now. There used to be more dailies. And now I know everything with CTE and stuff, but we kind of touched on this a little bit last night with Demetrius. As being a coach, there's certain ways you can talk to players. There's certain ways you can ask players to train. There's certain ways you can ask players and what you can expect out of them. And I feel like what we are asking and we are expecting out of these players is less and less, but their price is going up more and more. It's about, like I said, with the hamburger. The hamburger is more expensive now, but it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing it was a year ago. It was the same thing. And maybe a year ago, it might have been bigger, right? My mom and dad always tell me the Oreo cookie used to be big. It used to be huge. And now you look at it, it's just a small little thing, right? I seen it with Chips Ahoy. Chips Ahoy used to be, a giant cookie. Now it's smaller. And you're like, okay, I see what's going on. It's the price of inflation. I get it. But why does my talent and my expectations of a player practicing and how I can, I know it's about people's feelings and stuff like that, but David, not everybody deserves a participation trophy. And I think this is what's getting maybe not what the Niners, maybe the Niners are really mad, but I see us continuing if they don't put some fire under themselves, and maybe this is why everybody's mad about the Cabo click. But if they don't do something where I think we are all asking for that splash player, that guy that's like dynamite on the team, the guy that's it was kind of like the Reuben Foster. We needed somebody that was going to that torpedo in the defense, right? That guy that we are going to be like, he's going to spear hunt and he's going to help us at those key moments. And we kind of have a Devo for that on our offense. We kind of have a CMC, and I think we are lacking that on our defense. But again, to get to a point where everybody gets these participation trophies, and we made it to the NFC Championship game. We made it to the NFC Championship game, and we were losing. And two of our quarterbacks was standing on the sidelines laughing. Two of our backup quarterbacks, sure, they were injured, but they were laughing. And that's the mentality that I'm getting at. I love George Kittle, but sometimes maybe looking for the camera isn't all what you should be doing. Maybe you should be like waiting for the camera to look for you and seeing the intensity and how the desire and the fire and the passion that you're locked in. Maybe being locked into you is being goofy and stuff like that. Everybody is different. But again, I don't know, David. I guess it's like having a party after the Super Bowl after you lose doesn't seem to be like super cool to me. I don't think I would want to be around you if we lost the Super Bowl together. I don't think, I would want to go to vacation with you if we lost the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be something, and I see teams breaking up. But for whatever reason, this team's been able to keep their core, and they've been able to continue to get better and better, like you said. And we have only, put in a couple players here and there, and they have drafted well. But now we do, a couple of our coaches have left, and they're the ones that we supposedly have said that are the ones who have built this offense and built this team. I don't think so. I think John Lynch has had a lot to do with it. But I've been talking a little bit, and I want to get your thoughts as well. And I needed to get a sip of my coffee. So thank you. That's my rant for the morning.
Well, when our backup injured QBs were, on the sideline laughing during that NFC Championship game, it was like, the whole fan base was like, what? Like, what's so funny? What are you guys sitting over there laughing about?
Yeah.
The team that you're a part of is supposedly James Richard Garoppolo. Oh, he's a team player. This is what a bunch of our own fan base said. And it's like, does he look like a team player right now?
No.
He's over there laughing. We're getting, it's in the fourth quarter. We're getting beat. We got no chance. And he's over there laughing.
Yeah.
Jimmy does Jimmy. And we don't need guys like that on the 49ers. We need team players, right? And I honestly think, like, when it comes to the type of player we look for, this is a big thing, Brian. This is why they meet with so many rookies. I mean, they've met with, I don't even know how many. I've lost count. A couple guys a couple times, though. So they look for a certain personality type and a player, So they're looking for two things here. And, we only take upstanding members of society, like Charles Omenihu. Remember, he got in that incident, didn't end up getting charged, but he got in some incident, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, they're not even making him a contract offer to bring him back. So, it's a certain type of player.
Yep.
And, George Kittle, he does, he's kind of a loudmouth. I like the guy, though. I like the guy. He's got a great personality.
I love him too.
Like you said, let the camera find you. Don't go find the camera. Let the camera find you. Maybe
a little bit of less is more, right?
Yeah. Out of this team, something I'd like to see is like the game's not over. You're still playing. So don't celebrate. Don't celebrate the touchdown like you just won everything. Don't celebrate the interception, the fumble recovery, Congratulate everyone, high five, butt slap, whatever you're going to do. And, run to the sideline. You still have business to take care of. I want to see this team go all business here.
Like a little Barry Sanders, hand the ball to the ref. Act like you've scored a touchdown before.
I'm reading the chat. Shout out to Tommy Huxley.
Tommy, I love you. I don't put up all your comments, but I love you. Appreciate you for being here. Tommy keeps the chat, popping, and spicy. Appreciate it. But yeah, David, I don't like it. I think they need a little bit more urgency, show a little bit more seriousness.
More business, less messing around. That's all I'm saying. A little more like the whole hip drop tackle thing, and someone shout out to Levi because he actually put stats in the chat the other night. 22,000 was it 649 tackles in the NFL, and less than 300 of them were classified as hip drop tackles. But then I've been watching film on tackles. It's like, how do you actually tell? Like, what are you watching? Are you staring at the guy's hips? Like, what exactly, defines this? And this is something I'm genuinely worried about. I honestly think the field is going to be painted yellow with flags this next season because while the refs learn what an actual hip drop tackle is, that this could be a problem, right? And it's just one of those things, Oh, we're trying to lessen injuries, and I think the stats were 25% of the what was it? 25% of the guys being tackled in that fashion had some sort of injury, minor, catastrophic, variants of whatever, stinger, But all the guys trying to do is make the tackle, and they're just making it hard to play defense in the NFL. You said it. Like, all these kids growing up, why are they going to want to be a defensive back, right? Why? Are they going to be able to actually cover someone that they can't touch them beyond the 5-yard mark downfield? You can't. Now you can't hip drop tackle, so you got to pick them up and gently set them on the ground. I'm kidding. You really don't have to do that.
Well, see, that's the thing that's going to have to be cleared, right? And people are going to have to figure out what the difference is. I was talking to Demetrius about it, and he's a coach, he says, and he is his son plays, and the way he's been watching them coach and tackle since Pop Warner, they're not supposed to. That's not how they're trained. And for me, I would think when you try to go head up against somebody and you're going to go head up against somebody, I would think there's going to be more collisions with your spine, more with your neck. I know you're not supposed to lead with your helmet. You're supposed to lead, but there's just, and then your area, your window where you're going to be able to tackle somebody. I think that's going to get smaller too, right? Because they want to keep you from hitting them in their knees, hitting them in their hips. You can't. So we're going to see how it plays out. But again, this kind of goes back to my point about having more preseason games, having more practices, having more training camp, giving these players, time to be ready for that grueling 17, game schedule or 18 game schedule that they're pushing for. Now they're pushing for more and more international games. We're going to see a spike in potentially getting a game, a international. I can see it, David. A Germany team, a London team, a Brazil team, potentially a Mexico team. I'll throw it out there as a Japanese team. So I think it can happen. I really think there's that much money out there, and it might not be this year. It's not going to be this year for sure. There could be a real serious attempt at this in the next 5 years, but if people are going to keep on, just being complacent with the participation trophy, the participation, aspect of it, maybe we do need to open it up to other countries and have a little bit more of, I'm not asking for people to go burn stadiums down and stuff like what's happening at soccer games and stuff like that. But maybe we do need to get it a little bit more, this is competitive. And we should have players out there that really want to win. And sure, you get paid a nice contract, but you get paid a nice contract because the ultimate goal is to win the game, to be the champion.
Yep, that's a fact. I mean, we're international football. You remember back in the day, and you were probably young, but NFL Europe. You remember that? Yeah, it's kind of like the NFL minor leagues, similar to what baseball's got going on, right? And it didn't
Yep.
really, it didn't attract a fan base because it's the players that will more than likely not make the NFL. And actually, when it comes to rule changes and all that stuff, why doesn't the NFL purchase the XFL, USFL, whatever we got going on, and do some experimenting there versus saying, all right, we're just going to implement this rule change for a year. Oh, it didn't work. We're going to take it away. Okay, let's not mess the game up, guys. Let's not. Let's try it somewhere else and then bring it in. And I truly believe that a development league would help the NFL. I really do. I really feel like that. And it would help boost like even the money they make, because people would go watch these players, right?
Yes.
I would go, like, if they put a development team by me, I would go watch. Why not? Right. And I mean, moving forward, it just seems like it's going to two-hand touch, buddy. We're still worried. It's a violent game. These guys are in equipment. They have shoulder pads. They have helmets. They have, those thigh pads on their legs. And, pretty soon here, we're going to see them all wrapped up in 3 layers of bubble wrap. And they're going to be, when they hit each other, they're going to bounce 10 feet back. It's just getting to the point where it's like, is this really, this is still football, right?
So you know what's the problem? It kind of started, maybe it started even before it, but when the league last year, I believe it was, allowed you to be 0.
Yes.
Who wants to be nothing, David? What does 0 mean? What does 0 mean? It means nothing. It's not you're the hero. It's nothing. Numbers do matter. If they don't matter, then take the numbers off the jersey and just put the name of the team on it and put the person's last name on the back of the jersey and let it go and be holding the red team, holding the blue team, holding I got paid by the blue team. Whatever you want to say. I mean, like, take away the numbers. The numbers identify the player. The numbers identify the player so the player can say, this is my stats. This is what was recorded. This is what I did. This is why I deserve this. No, you deserve to try to play as a team and get to the championship and win, right? Because that's the ultimate goal. So I think, again, if we was to come up with an idea, a price, what a quarterback is fairly priced at, and we cap it. You cannot be overpaid. You can't be the entire team. What happens to me as the owner when you, as the entire team, get hurt? We're going to guarantee your contract. Why? Because you're guaranteeing me that you're going to go to the Super Bowl every year? Are you going to give me any money back if you don't go to the Super Bowl? Are you going to tell me, sorry, coach, we didn't get it done? I threw the ball really well, but the guy dropped it. Fire him. It was his fault, right? That's not what a leader does, right? It's not what you want your quarterback coming up to you and saying, here's $20 back. I just didn't get it done in the fourth quarter. They don't do that, so it's like, I think we got to figure out, like, we got an idea of what a kicker's worth, right? The Niners don't want to pay Robbie Gould $4 million, $5 million. So we go and draft a rookie, and everybody gets mad. It's a rookie. It's a rookie. The rookie had a record in the Super Bowl for like 5 minutes until the kicker.
Hey, there were two kicking records set in that Super Bowl. One by ours, but then ours got beat by his. But theirs, it's kind of, and I mean, it just seems like Damian Lee made a good comment about the NBA stop playing defense after the Pistons versus the Spurs because the ratings were low. That's what this seems to be about. ratings. We want people to watch. So we're going to change the rules to make it so, some more points are getting scored because that's what people want to see. Not everybody wants to see the offense. A lot of people like watching the defense play hard and stop a good offense. I'm one of those people. I like a good defense. And it's getting harder and harder to play defense in the NFL as they go because they're just making it. You can only hit the quarterback in this 3-inch strip right around his stomach. No, I'm totally over exaggerating. It's like from the head to the upper thighs or something like that.
You're really not. It's like above the belly button, below the rib cage,
to the bottom of the ribs.
Yeah. And the reason why, again, is because these guys are paid what they're paid, and if they get hurt, it's such a significant injury and numbers. It's such a crucial, devastating moment for the rest of the team because this guy who's getting paid this much money, who was expected to be this for the team, is now injured, and we can't go and get anybody else because we're paying him to be injured. So it's like now we got Scuba Steve over here, and he's got a cool mullet, right? So we're behind him, right? But no, it's not what was supposed to happen. So the NFL has 32 teams, and we only have 40 good quarterbacks. You nailed it. We need a developmental league. We need a farm league.
We do. For guys like Trey Lance, prime example. All these quarterbacks that get taken high by a team that's in dysfunction, bad team on the field. Maybe they're, the whole, the organization is having issues. And then, that quarterback, that great prospect ends up being labeled as a bust because he wasn't given a proper chance. Right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to use Tom Brady as an example here. Did he come in the league slinging the ball around for 4,000 plus yards, 40 touchdowns? No. They were running the ball and throwing it when they had to. And they were doing that first 3-4 seasons. Then after he got some playing time, that's when he leveled up and became that great quarterback.
Yeah, let me ask you this too. Did he go to a bad team?
Nope.
Did he go to a team that was knocking on the Super Bowl regularly?
He did. He ended up on a good team, and they had Drew Bledsoe ahead of him at quarterback. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, don't get injured, you lose your job on the Niners." Guess what? Drew Bledsoe got injured, and he lost his job on the Patriots. So this happens across the league. It ain't just a Niners thing.
Nope. No, it's a not a nice thing. It's because your contract's this, and even back then, the quarterback's contract was significantly higher. So at one moment, if they can go cheaper and reduce your contract, they're going to look for that best option. Right now, we have a great opportunity because we have Brock Purdy at such a cheap deal, and shout out to him. He's gotten the Toyota deal, and that's lucrative for him. So Toyota is now a proud affiliate. Brock Purdy, man, so you can go and check out. I think he's got a commercial out now for the Tacoma trucks, but. Anyways, it's funny. The Niners, Steve Young, I remember him having the Toyota, I want to say it was Toyota Corolla commercial, if I'm correct. But it seems like the Niners do work well with Toyota. But that's how these players should be able to make extra money. There should be a price. There should be a price for your job. And then if somebody outside the business wants to say, hey, will you wear our Nike hoodie? Will you wear our cool hat? Will you drive our really cool car? That's where they should be making their extra money at. It shouldn't be the NFL doing this. What the NFL should do, David, this is my opinion, universal health care. Boom. Boom.
Well, and that's another thing too, though. We can, it's just something that we can't count on right now, right? And like me, I pay for mine, and now I think about it, I still pay for my daughter.
You're a good dad. That's why.
Well, she's still young and starting out life. Once she gets to a point, she'll get her own, and I won't have to carry her anymore, right? But it's just it's something we all need is health
Yeah.
insurance. We do, everybody.
But if the NFL did it just for their players, right? Just as soon as you sign your contract, even if you don't really make the team, like if you get a tryout and you get hit one time on the field, boom, you got universal health care, right? Because then they can't say, like it could have happened right then, right? You could have had that. What's our crazy wide receiver that we love? We love him. He was on every team. Number 84, Pittsburgh Steelers, man, Tampa Bay. I ripped my jersey off. I'm running off the field. Brown, is it last name Brown?
Yeah, Antonio Brown.
Thank you. See, if I keep talking, I'll get it out, right? So you could say that hit that happened to him against the Cincinnati Bengals. You could say that was the moment that he had his moment. You could say he was born with it. You could say it happened sometime during Pop Warner or whatnot. But I'm saying once you get an offer to come to the NFL, I say they should extend universal health care to you. There's enough money that the NFL is making that they could pay for you or me, to have a tryout and get it, right? We could hit the lottery by having universal health care, by running a 40 one time on an NFL field, right? Or kicking a field goal, right? Like they have that money. If they want to keep on putting football on every day of the week, this year we're going to have football on Wednesday on another, streaming service that we have to pay for, David. So again, cap the players. Say you're a right tackle, you can make this much money. You're a quarterback, you can make this much money. But if you want to go and get a cool deal, you want to be the face of In-N-Out, or you want to have it your way and be Whopper, Burger King, man. Go get your money, right? What do you think? Is that wrong?
I don't think it's wrong. And I really don't think it's wrong. I think Antonio Brown had some pre-existing issues, and I'm not talking about physically, folks, and, even with the NFL, the healthcare they offer, they should say, hey, you need to go see someone. And I'm not talking about for your shoulder or your knee.
Yeah.
You need to go see someone, because everyone has issues every now and again. The struggle, whatever's going on. But that crazy is as crazy does sometimes, right?
Well, if you are, required to do a job and the company is required to have you prepared and, have you, safe, right? But then you're allowed to have your extra precautions. You can go and grab sweatbands. You can go and grab a different type of, Under Armour protection, right? Different padding. But this is what the league says you can have, or, you can have this helmet, but you want a just different style helmet because it's your preference, right? Okay, great. But if the league or your company isn't providing you something and they're saying, okay, get busy with a rock and we want you to build a house, sure, you can take that rock and act like it's a hammer, but there's only so much you can do with that rock. You can't paint the walls with a rock. There's only so much you can do, right? So if these players are, like, hey, we've talked about it before, the ice bathtubs. Can we get some more ice bathtubs for the guys? Can we put some more money into the facility? Can we see that the money that the Niners, the prices of the tickets are really high up there, right? Can we see either the ticket prices come down, or can we see the money going into the stadium? Can we start seeing the money that the fans, the money that the people pay for the memorabilia, all this go into the investment that we're asking for? Because we're not getting any extra minutes of the game, are we? As far as I understand, there's still 4 quarters. They're all 15 minutes. There's a couple breaks in between it. It's a 60-minute game. They added one extra game to the season. They took away some preseason games. I'm still not over it, David.
They not only took away preseason games, they cut down on how much you can practice. You know, and no, we're not talking about the game. We're talking about practice. You know,
I don't see.
but
I just don't see how you can ask for more money or a better result if you're taking away their opportunities to give you a better product. They're taking away. They're just offering you an opportunity to see it more often, right? That's why they're putting the game on every night of the week. They're doing this so they can make money as a league. They're making money. They can afford to make these players safe and give these players respectable living conditions and contracts. If again, you've got Brock Purdy making basic money, and we're looking at drafting players high and having to pay them later because the way the salary set up, we're getting you the best couple years of your life. In the NFL, you're not here for long. You got an average 3 years of a career. If you're a good player, you might get paid once. And then on your way out, you get paid again, potentially, if you're a decent player and you don't want to stay with your team. And then you only get paid if you go to a bad team. This could stop all of that.
That's true. It's 100% true. And you know, the bad teams are the ones with the money to spend because they're not paying good players, right? So it's kind of a vicious cycle. And you know, at this point we're kind of cycling we're cycling through our draft picks. We're paying our guys. Yeah, we signed Hargrave and Trent Williams and Charvarius Ward. But beyond that, you know, we haven't made we don't typically make big free agent splashes, right? We let guys walk. And like, man, this next season. So, you know, Aaron Banks, our left guard, it's his 4th year next year. He's a 2nd round pick. There's no 5th year option. Hufanga, 4th year next year, right? Mm-hmm. Lenore and Ward, not under contract after next year. It's the not for long league, folks. So we got some, you know, there's going to be some decisions that need to be made, right?
Yeah. You look at what they've done in the last couple of years and you see what they've been doing. They're holding a core together. We only have a few years with the core. And as the core starts to break away, if we haven't picked that next plug and play player, the offense is slowly shifting. It's slowly turning. I think we took a step back. When we drafted, was it Jalen Hurt? It was Jalen Hurt.
Oh, my goodness.
He was supposed to be our complementary to Debo. And he had that great play. And that's actually the number 14 jersey I wear when I get up and I'm playing around, you know, the Sam area. That's a Jalen Hurt jersey. He had 2 numbers. He was 14 and 17. And I think he caught 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys in the preseason game. But he had that spinal injury. And he wasn't the same. But he was one of those players that played running back. And he was so physical and he was talented. He was shifted to wide receiver. It was kind of opposite of what I believe he was almost opposite of what Debo was. Debo was more of a wide receiver that they were trying to shift to running back. But it was the same idea concept. They could have 2 players similar on the field that could do both things. So it wouldn't be like, oh, Debo's off the field and they're having Juwan Jennings run a play that he's not adequate to run. Kyle had a scheme and he had a fit and it was going to be a certain design, but then we went in a different direction. David, let me ask you, if you were the 49ers, and I think we already know the ideal pick is Patrick Mahomes, but if you are the 49ers and you're assuming, you know, What do you think Kyle wanted? Do you think he wanted Pat, or do you think he wanted Deshaun Watson?
I so at this point, I think he probably would have went with Deshaun Watson. But we see the character issues after the fact, so that also would have been a bad pick because he wouldn't be a 49er.
Right.
You know,
I agree. And I think the reason he wanted Deshaun is because Deshaun's mobility a little bit more, maybe similar to what RG3 was a little bit, where he had that ability to scramble. Not that Patrick doesn't have that, but I think Patrick's more of a gunslinger. He wants to throw the ball where we see Watson get elusive. And I think that's maybe a little bit better of a, but Gabe, hey, Patrick Mahomes beat us on that fourth down, and that really hurt us because of his legs, right? But there's just still something up to Patrick Mahomes when he's running. It's just a little funny. I'm always gonna laugh when I see him run. Maybe not when he's playing against the Niners. Maybe I won't be laughing then, but he's got a little bit of a weird step to him. So, hey, let me shout out Annie. Annie, haven't seen you for a long time, but we are got you in our prayers and thoughts, and we hope all is well. And when next time I see you, I want to give you a hug. Shout out to you, and just want you to know we love you. All right, folks, it's been a great show. It really has. David, I don't think we're going to get anywhere, but we might make a little bit of noise, right? Somebody might have heard us and said, hey, that's a good idea. And shout out once again to Toyota, for coming up clutch for Brock Purdy. I think, I know it's not my popular demand.
hey, I saw some guys doing a car comparison, and they're like, well, Patrick Mahomes is like a Ferrari. Brock Purdy's reliable, though. He's like a Toyota. So now he's being sponsored by Toyota? That's hilarious.
I'll send you the clip. It's super cool. Now he's I believe it's nationwide. So, real quick, guys. Shout out to Deanna again. Got the Mitch Wisnowski practice jersey on today. Mitch Wisnowski yesterday was at the Giants game, and I bombed it, guys. Bebop brought it up yesterday, and I was like, yeah. I didn't know what I was talking about or what he was talking about. So I had to Google it. Mitch Wisnowski did a ceremony punt on the Giants field yesterday against the San Diego Padres, I believe. The Giants, and hey, Mitch, Aussie, right? He went and kicked the ball into the water. So there was a splash. And we also had Debo and Fred Warner, who threw out the honorary first pitches for the San Francisco Giants. I love it when I see the Niners and the Giants interacting. I'm a big Niner fan. I'm not the biggest Giants fan. I do like the Giants, but I can't really tell you much about it. I'm really upset, David. There was 3 parades I missed, and I missed it because, one, maybe my automobile situation at the time. One, it was working conditions, and I did take one for the team. We had a group of guys that worked out and ladies that I worked with, and they all wanted to go to the parade, and I wasn't the biggest. If you're a fan, you can still be a fan, and root from them afar, right? But if you're a diehard, and I believe I am truly a 49er diehard, if the Niners win and when we win the Super Bowl, I will see you there at the parade, and I'm not going to miss that. But yes, go Giants, and congratulations to Mitch Wisnowski, Debo, and Fred Warner for being able to be there at the ceremonial day, opening ceremonial day. Shout out to you guys, and shout out to everybody else in the chat for being here. We really appreciate you. Later tonight, David, you want to tell them about what you got going on for tonight? It's a big deal. So I hope everyone who can be here can be there tonight. And yeah, David.
It's a mock draft, episode 6. We're doing a multi-team draft tonight. It's not just going to be the 49ers. Hopefully Levi can pop in. So he's going to be doing the Ravens. We still haven't worked out who's picking for the 49ers, but someone will be. It might not be me. Right?
It could be.
But we're doing a multi-team draft. Everyone will get to pick for whatever team they pick. And we'll just have to see how everything falls and works out. Right?
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, and appreciate you all. If you can't make it, it's okay. We always appreciate any support you get, and sometimes you can't make everything, and that's fun. You got to have family, you got to have faith, and you gotta have fun, right? So you see, me and David have a lot of fun just sitting here talking to ourselves. If there's one or two or three or many of you in the chat, we appreciate every one of you. And when we don't see it, we definitely miss it. When we see you again or in transit passing, hey, we really appreciate you. Again, one love. There's no harm. You can't make it. We appreciate it, guys. We're here when you are around, and we'll be there next time as well. David, your show is going to be 7 p.m. tonight, California time.
It's 7:30 California time, I think. Let me
7:30.
Absolute sure it should be.
There'll be notifications going out, folks. So if you can make it, or if you want to tell a friend, it'll definitely be a fun show. We'll try to keep it moving as fast as possible. There's going to be multiple teams picking, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. The draft's getting closer, so the excitement's building up. I think we're taking
it is 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So,
David, my hot take, I think we're taking a quarterback this year. I tell you what, I know people aren't going to like it, but I think it's happening.
You keep trying to get us to take Bo Nix.
Hey, as long as we take Devin Culp, we'll be all right. Tight end, Washington Huskies, the next 49er. All right, folks, with that, we're getting out of here. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you later tonight on David McNiner's channel.
Go Niners, and Corey Davis to say F all 31 other teams.